Glad you could join us. Now, the controversial national towing levy is refusing to go away with its controversy as Ghanaians show strong opposition to the initiative approved by Parliament this week. Chief among these protests is that of the Ghana Committed Drivers Association, who have threatened to embark on a demonstration if this goes through. We will soon be joined in the studios by Joy News editor Fred Smith with more details of the statement. But this is all on the backdrop of a controversial contract involving Road Safety Management Limited and the National Road Safety Commission, which has raised a lot of questions among civil society. In the past few days, at least, it is said that this actual contract was signed somewhere in 2013, and that is what actually triggered the legislation which is now in place by Parliament. Now, remember, there were fears that this could trigger judgment debt if it is cancelled. This particular contract is cancelled as a result of Parliament repealing the law. But of course, all those dynamics are contained in some statements that have been put out by various sections of the public. Fred Smith has the first one being that from the Ghana Committed Drivers Association. Welcome, Fred.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel.
So, Fred, what are the drivers saying?
Well, the drivers, they've issued an alert that they're going to go on demonstration. I'll read to you unedited what they're saying. The Ghana Committed Drivers Association has learned that the Parliamentary Select Committee on Roads and Transport has okayed the implementation of the controversial mandatory towing levy. The association wants to declare that we are not in favor of this towing levy. The association therefore is therefore calling on the Ministry of Transport, the government, Roads and Highways Authority, the Road Safety Commission to halt the implementation of the mandatory towing levy. And the association is expressing or declaring a nationwide demonstration to protest against the implementation of this levy, and the demonstration will be called Yentua demonstration. We wish to inform all drivers, car owners and all stakeholders to join this demonstration for the betterment of our country. And they're saying that they will send a notice to the police today to get some clearance. You know, you have to alert the police that you'll be demonstrating. So they'll do that. Well, it's signed by Charles Danso. He's chairman of the Committed Drivers Association, and they're encouraging all drivers to join this demonstration.
Now, I don't know how large Ghana Committed Drivers Association is, but I remember that they've had a demonstration before protesting the new forms of checking of cars by DVLA, and they brought traffic to a halt here in Accra.
Exactly, and they have members, according to the chairman, Charles Dan, so they have members across the country, and so they will all join per this alert they've issued on the Yentua demonstration.
And of course, they didn't give any details as to when they will go on this demonstration.
They didn't, but at least we know you must give the police not less than 5 days of notice. So I would assume that it will sometime next week, the earliest.
Okay, then Fred, don't go away because there's another statement that we'll be going into very soon. But another group that has spoken out against the towing levy is pressure group Citizen Ghana Movement. The group insists the law is not needed as the previous arrangement for towing broken down vehicles has not proven ineffective. We've been joined on the line by a member of Citizen Ghana Movement, Nana Akwesiewa. Thanks for your time. And why are you opposed to this deal?
Thank you very much, my brother. Well, the long and short of it is that this towing levy is a bad policy and it shouldn't be made to see the light of day. The simple reason being that there are existing laws which, when implemented or when enforced, would deal with the menace of abandoned vehicles on our streets, on our highways. And those existing laws have not been enforced. So we don't see any reason why the state will introduce a new levy when the existing laws have not been enforced. And so we are basically pushing for the enforcement of the existing laws and an abandonment or an abrogation or a rescission of the road toll levy.
Now, Nana, in your statement, you mentioned that this particular law that is being introduced by Parliament is an offshoot of a pilot program that was carried out a couple of years back, and it was a recommendation that because the individual drivers cannot pay do not voluntarily pay these towing fees, we should levy everyone. You are talking about an existing law that has not been enforced, and we do not know if that will work, vis-a-vis something that has been piloted and recommendations has been made of it. Why do we pick the former over the latter?
Okay, good. Now, let me explain. If you look at the existing law, and particularly with reference to Section 21 of the Road Traffic Act, as well as Regulation 102 of the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180, if you look at those two provisions and you read them together, it is simply this. It says that you shall not, as a vehicle owner or driver, leave your broken down vehicle on a highway, on the road, or anywhere that would cause danger to other users of the road. And that you are under an obligation. It makes it mandatory that you shall tow away that vehicle. It makes it mandatory for you to tow away that vehicle within a specified period of time, 2 hours. Now, if you fail to do that, the police or the local government authority, in this case the district assembly, has the authority or the mandate to come and tow the vehicle to their yard, and then they will surcharge you with the fee, the cost of towing the vehicle. Now, there is also an additional thing. There is a penalty if you allow your vehicle to be towed by the police or the local government authority. Now, the longer the vehicle stays in their yard, the penalty goes up. Beyond this, you are also liable to prosecution.
Now, these still have their limitations. So the question again is, why would it be preferable over what is being introduced, where we can ensure that we get the money to fund the towing system, you know, which can pick up these cars?
The problem for me, for us as Citizen Ghana Movement, the problem does not have to do with finances. No. The problem has to do with indiscipline and responsibility. Now, the policy should rather be looking at encouraging drivers to be responsible on the road, encouraging discipline or ensuring discipline on our roads. Because if you have a vehicle and it breaks down, you are responsible for your vehicle.
How do we realistically ensure this discipline? How do we realistically ensure discipline on our roads?
The law has provided it, that if you fail to do that, you are liable to prosecution. That is one. And once you are convicted, and the nature of the offense is such that it's a strict liability offense. So the burden of proof is rather cast on you, the vehicle owner or driver, to show or to demonstrate to the court why you should not be punished for leaving your abandoned vehicle on the road, causing danger to others. And the punishment is in, I think the maximum penalty is 250 penalty units. And there's also a term of imprisonment. You understand? So if these laws are enforced, there will be no need to implement that road toll levy at all.
Okay, thank
you.
Beyond that, very much.
Hold on. Just one more point. Just one more point. Beyond that, if you have to enforce those laws, now you have a situation where the police or the local government authority will tow away your vehicle, very high price, plus penalty, plus prosecution. Then you have the option of also calling a private towing business to come and tow your car away. Between the two, which one would you choose? So by that, you'd be encouraging more private businesses to set up towing businesses in this country. So it's a win-win situation, creating employment, and then by effecting those towing services by the district assemblies and the police, and the penalties and what have you,
more revenue will be coming.
Generating revenue for the state.
Right. Thank you very much, Nana Kwesiewa, for making that point. He's a member of Citizen Ghana Movement. Like we said, Citizen Ghana Movement is not the only group that has been putting out statements about this particular road toll levy. We understand the Vice President of Imani, Ghana, Bright Timers, has also written something. Fred.
Yeah, indeed. It's a 32 points, if you like,
an
analysis of this contract, and it starts with a bit of background and some clarification to this contract, and I'll read just a few to you. the background, says the entire set of laws and policies around this whole towing tax idea started in 2010 at the instance, prompting and pushing of Zoom Lions RSML. Those were the days of GIDA.
As Road Safety Management Limited.
Exactly. And they are letting you that those were the days when we had GIDA, SADA, Better Ghana, etc. And the company, Road Safety Management Services Limited, already had its well-greased fingers on other pies. Already they were into other, contracts.
Businesses.
In fact, the Ghana Road Safety Commission entered into an agreement with the company, and here if I say company, you know Road Safety Management Services, in 2013 to undertake this towing program, only to discover that the law, as it stood then, did not allow them to sign such contracts with them. So with Road Safety Management's help, according to Bryce Simmons, they assembled some drafters and set about crafting a legal regime to facilitate something they had already committed to do. So the notion, therefore, that the legislation is independent of the program itself is simply untrue, according to this analysis by Bright Simmons. And it says the law was made because the Road Safety Commission couldn't roll out the Zoom Lion conceived program. And it says, yet without completing the relevant legwork, the Road Safety Commission signed a contract that came into effect immediately it was signed. There was no performance triggers. And this means that this program, strictly speaking, commenced in October 2016. It has simply proved harder to push in practice than the parties anticipated.
So in summary, he's trying to say that this whole thing, this whole law aspect of it was birthed after the contract was agreed upon. There
was commitment to do this. So they prepared a law to back it. So the moment the law was ready, the contract kicked in.
They're ready to go.
The contract kicked in, and that's the point of it. And he also analyzes the money bit of it, and it says that it is true that the Road Safety Management Services Limited is required to bring in nearly 120 tow trucks, of which 45 are heavy duty and 10 are medium tonnage. But there are no specifications for these trucks, and they don't necessarily have to be brand new. Now, it says if the company does buy brand new equipment, then the $20 million that they are investing, or we estimate, shall be required in capital financing to meet all of the company's obligations under the program, though significant, is easily dwarfed by the 85% of levy proceeds it is entitled to.
They're entitled to 85% of the proceeds they'll get from the levy. Exactly.
So from the analysis, if all of that is going to the company, then end of year, you have $50 million after investing $20 million.
Okay, those are some interesting figures. We'll be delving into them in our later bulletins. Thank you very much, Fred Smith, for joining us with those details.